Hey there, what's going on? In this video, I want to share with you some lower body stretches that feel really good after a long run or a race, and you don't really need that many props. I'll show you how to make use of the ones that I've grabbed off my shelf, but we're going to start down on the floor in all fours. So come onto your mat or your towel or just your floor in general. And we're gonna be here on our hands and knees for a couple minutes. So if you wanna use a blanket to pad your knees, you're more than welcome to do so, or your wrists. You could also just simply fold over your mat in a couple inches on each side in order to help. But we're gonna start by taking the right knee up underneath the body and making some circles here. Now I'm not borrowing from this other hip and I'm not twisting and turning my upper body. I'm keeping my shoulders and hips square to the floor beneath me and just working this leg in its greatest range of motion out and around. And then we'll do a couple circles in the opposite direction. Maintaining a lot of control and support here through the upper body, through the core, and through your left hip. Now the next time this leg comes forward, you're gonna step it forward into a low lunge. So we'll come all the way up here. And again, this is where if you wanna pad your knee, go right ahead. So we'll simply start by just shifting the weight forwards and coming back to upright. And just try this a couple times. So we're opening the angle of the left hip here, and then we're closing the angle of the knee and the ankle. So we're just trying to feel around here and see how this does. Now, if you want to go further, you could take your hands to the floor or blocks on the inside of this front leg, okay? So use the blocks at the appropriate height that brings the floor up to you, and just lean your hips forwards, okay? So this is kind of option number two. Number one was to stay up here and just rock forwards and backwards. Option two is to send hands to the floor or blocks on the inside of the front leg. Here's what this looks like from the side here. Right leg forward, and I'm leaning forwards here. So I'm really opening this angle. Right, so here's option one in action, lean forward, come back up. Here's option two, okay? Now, option kind of 2.5 is to take the front toes here and just turn them out towards the front corner of your mat, the right front corner of your mat, okay? That helps to externally rotate the leg. You might be able to dip a little bit deeper into the hip for a stretch. Option number three is to tip this whole leg onto the outer blade, the pinky side of the foot. Now you can use one or both hands. Sometimes I like to take my right hand and just kind of facilitate just a little bit of a twist here. And if you want yet a little bit more, I'll take my right hand, reach around, and see if I can grab a hold of my left foot. And I'll turn here in a second so that you can see what that looks like. So right foot is forward, I'm leaning forward. I'll reach around with my right hand, and grab a hold of this foot. Now, keeping in mind that I'm not sinking into this left shoulder, I stay upright, I press into the block or the floor. And if you're here, you can now play around with pushing the foot into the hand and then pulling the heel closer to that glute with the hand. So push and press the foot into the hand, release, and now pull with the hand, the heel just a little bit closer to the sitting bone. And then just gently let the foot go. Try not to let it slingshot into the ground. As we gently come back and work our way back to upright. And then let's just give this hip a little bit of a challenge here and see if we can lift this right foot and bring it back up underneath us. So the first thing you'll do is you'll lean back, you'll firm up the left side, glute, quad, hamstring, press into the shin, and peel the right toes up off the mat. Try just peeling the toes up a couple times. And then see if you can fire up this left glute and lift this right foot off the ground any amount. Right? Now see if you can take this foot and bring it out, around, and under your right hip. Okay? So let's do that whole thing on the left now. So from all fours, we take the left knee up, forwards, underneath the body, and around. So we're making those big hip circles here. And the reason we do these in a slow and controlled fashion is to help build strength and stability, with the goal being that at any time I could say freeze, and you can hold this position for 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, okay? So just keep that in mind. And then let's switch directions, back, out, and underneath. All the while keeping some nice deep breathing going on. And then the next time this leg comes around and forwards, we step it forwards, bring in the blocks as necessary, but we'll start upright first. So head, shoulders, hips, all straight here. And you'll also notice that my legs aren't one in front of the other, because see what happens right away? My center of gravity comes to a fine pinpoint, and this makes me actually a lot more wobbly. So if I can use my feet like they're on railroad tracks or separate floorboards here, it makes me a little bit more stable. So option 1 again was to stay upright and to shift weight forwards and backwards, right? So this might be a perfectly good option for you. If that's good, just stay here. If you want to dabble a little bit more, come forwards, use the block or blocks or books or couch pillows, whatever you've got, and send the hips forwards and down towards kind of the front edge, the short edge of your mat. So option 2.2, 2.5, send the toes towards the left front corner of the mat. So you kind of open the angle of the leg a little bit. You could roll the whole leg over and open onto the outer blade of the left foot. And then last but not least, use the left hand to reach around and grab the right foot now. Now I know some people who like to do it with the same side hand, but I find it easier and quite frankly more beneficial to use the opposite hand, because it lets me sink that right hip down. I use the block to bring the floor up to me, and now I can really reach back and grab a hold of that foot. And again here, we're staying out of this right shoulder so it doesn't sink up towards the ears. We press down, open, hang on to the foot here. And if you just want to hold the foot, that's great. But you could also play around with pressing the foot into the hand for maybe a long count of 3. And then using the hand and pulling gently the heel towards the sitting bone for 3. Press, push, gently pull. Good. Gently letting that foot go. And then let's do the same hip stabilization exercise on this side. So we come all the way back up to upright, half kneeling, low lunge, however you like to refer to it. We get head over shoulders over hip. We press down, fire up this right glute, and just start to lean back a little bit and feel what it feels like to shift the balance of our weight into this down leg. Then begin to peel the left toes up off the mat. Maybe the foot hovers just for a second. We practice that a few times. And if this is as far as you go right now, that's totally cool. This is not an easy thing to do and do under control, okay? But it helps to balance out your hip strength from left to right. And then when you feel ready, you'll lift the left foot, bring it out and around, and replace it underneath the hip, and then either sit on the heels or just swivel yourself around to come to seated. Okay guys, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope that you enjoyed these lower body stretches. And as I said before, just try each of the options sequentially until you find what works best for you. Just keep in mind as well that the option that you took on side 1 might not be the same option that you take on side 2, and that's totally normal, totally fine. We all are dominant on one side or the other, and we need to kind of respect that and choose options accordingly and not force symmetry when we might not have it yet, or it might not be in the cards for us that day, okay? So just keep that in mind. As always, if you like this video, like and subscribe. I'll link a couple other videos up here that relate to what we covered today and or might help you go a little bit further in your functional yoga practice. And feel free to share this one with your friends. I'll see you guys all soon. Have a good one. Bye.